We are back.
I miss this room, man.
I miss this room too. We haven't recorded, I think, since August.
I thought you were retiring your mic, bud.
I might have to. Not after this episode.
Okay.
We have a very special guest, director of residential sales from Home Trust, and a former host. I actually asked him today if he has questions for us. He said absolutely.
No?
For you?
Yeah.
Oh, I got tons of questions for you. I don't know if I can ask them on the pod,
For
though.
sure you can, man. Wear your heart on your sleeve, man. That's what this is all about.
So you hosted I Love Alt Mortgages podcast, and I think it was during the COVID period. So we were asking about that quickly before we came on air, and you were telling me that at the beginning it was in person and then it was virtual. So maybe give us, you said you actually listened to the episode with Dan. So what was your favorite part of that, or as you listen back? Like, was there any, he did pretty good actually. I listened to the whole thing. You were pretty good.
Yeah, Dan.
I really enjoyed it. It was early in my career as a broker.
It was.
And it was really nice to be recognized without the relationships that we've built from that time to now, you know? So I like the premise of that episode, and I really enjoyed, you know, being in conversation with you. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for younger folks to get a little bit of a spotlight in the space, because ultimately we are the future. And it's nice to hear from, you know, the folks that have kind of paved the way, but it's also nice to hear about some, you know, fresh outlooks and, you know, guys like yourself that are working really, really hard and, you know, on the lender side, and what are the folks that are saying on the broker side. And it was a really nice dynamic in my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? It was a fantastic pod that we did. And I think the good thing about it was, and with the podcast itself, we wanted to get that mixture of, you know, you have your generation that's been doing it for a while, and then you were, I think, a young gun at that point in time, just 2 years into your career. So it was nice to, you know, I had a couple before you where they'd been in the industry for, you know, 10, 15 years, whatever the case was. And then, you know, switching to talking with you, 2 years just shy of, I think, maybe 3 years in the industry at that point in time. And just getting your perspective on it. It was like a newer, refreshed outlook on what that industry looked like, and kind of your upbringing into the industry. So it was a fantastic pod.
Did you have free reign on that? Like who the guests were? What went into that? Did you have to get sign off even to do it? Because there's a few times when we ask certain folks in companies where they got to get sign off, I guess more on the bigger banks. And you actually are, I think he's the first executive from either one of the banks that we deal with to be on this, right? I mean, outside of Webster at the time, but yeah. So did you have free reign to do that? Was there any issues with the pod?
Yeah, I mean, we really went out to the sales team and just, you know, asked them who they thought would be great to come on the podcast. Obviously, being in the industry for quite some time, I knew, you know, certain people that we wanted to bring onto the podcast, but also wanted to involve the team and who they thought would be someone that should be featured on the podcast. And I know at the time your BDM had recommended you, so that's why we had brought you onto the podcast. I would say, yeah, for the most part, free reign, but still, you know, very corporate for myself anyways. We did it in partnership with I Love Mortgage Brokering, so did it through their channel as well. So obviously trying to be respectful there, but yeah, it was just a fantastic time. And, you know, we were able to ask some really good questions on that podcast.
It's amazing. So you two had got to know each other a little bit better there. The first time that we got to spend a lot of time together was at our top performers trip last year. So you end up making the trip. You have the nicest matching sets in the game. Those shorts.
Those are incredible.
So, you know, maybe we'll get a picture up, producer Max, of Brennan in these matching shorts, sets. Yeah, shorts and button-down shirts.
Hold on. They are called summer tuxedos.
Oh,
right?
okay. There's the.
That's the official
that might be the
name
title
of
of this episode, Summer Tuxedos. I was going to do the future,
am
but
I remembering
Summer
correctly
Tuxedos
that you had like some hats that matched?
Yeah, so
You
it
did.
had a bucket hat.
Okay, so
it
they
had the shirt and the shorts. And I think I had probably 3 or 4 sets with me at that point in time.
incredible.
Yeah,
So,
one for every day.
Yeah,
You were smiling every minute of every day. that trip.
absolutely.
I don't know if you smiled once, but we had a good time nevertheless. And we got to spend a lot of time together this summer. I was thinking of all these events that we were able to. Jays game, Leafs game, your golf tournament, which we're going to dive into in a little bit. And then obviously soccer, playing in the Bay Street Kicks Back charity tournament. So a lot of good things.
Did you guys just become best friends, or?
I think we really bonded after that soccer tournament.
I think so.
I think he just saw a different side of me out on the field there, and he just.
I was like, so going into the tournament, I'm like, okay, Brennan's our goalie. He's a baseball player.
Are you?
No, hockey.
Hockey, but you love baseball.
yeah.
You do you not play baseball? Did you
Brennan's
not tell
the
me?
enforcer.
No.
I'm sorry. At the Jays game, you enjoy. Anyways, he was a hockey player. Played pretty high levels. Didn't really play soccer, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to this tournament. Like Brennan's in net. I don't really know what to expect. Just don't let any shots go on net. And I was the only non-home trust player because I think there was some cancellation. So I was thankful they asked me. And like he doesn't start the first game, goes in the second game, and
Who starts the first game?
we had two goalies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had two goalies, and we lost the first game. Brennan gets the call. Second game, I think shutout. I'm pretty sure. Anyways,
so.
he made some incredible saves, and I was like, yeah. And then I played my regular self. I got into some pretty rough tackles and
Take a
and
touch. Take a touch.
And we bonded. But he really impressed me. There was one shot he took off the face. The mouth guard came out, and I was just
Wow.
like, yeah.
I still can't hear out of this either. It was a hard.
It was a
hard
rocket
shot. Oh,
in the finals. Yeah, so we lost in the
Kept it out
finals.
though.
Yeah. It
was a really fun day.
It's all about the heart, man.
That's it.
It's
He
all
plays
about
with a
the
lot
heart.
of heart. 6 games in 3 hours, 4 hours. It was
very quick,
wild.
yeah.
It was wild. So it was a lot of fun.
What's an attribute that you can translate from being an athlete to what you're doing today?
I think teamwork is the biggest piece there. Growing up in sports, obviously played a lot of hockey growing up, a little bit of baseball, a little bit of soccer in early years there, but that didn't really transpire out for me there. But I think teamwork is one of the biggest pieces to that, because if you're not working together as a team for that one end goal, which is, winning and obviously having fun, but if you're not working together, you're not going to succeed. So I think that's the biggest transition for me from sports into the working world, is you have a team and you need to work together cohesively in order to succeed.
Yeah, he's a big communicator in the back. Anyways, it was a lot of fun, and the amount of respect the whole team has for you can see. It was really good. It was nice to meet and spend some time with those guys at home.
Kyle play?
Kyle played.
He's incredible now. Yeah.
Yeah, we also had this other kid, Julian.
Julian.
Really good too.
Oh, so
22-year-old Italian, plays for Vaughan. Unreal. He might be the best player I've ever played with.
Really?
So
Better than Arthur.
yes,
Wow.
yes. He was supposed to go pro.
Mark's pretty good too.
Mark is very good.
Yeah. We're
But
name dropping. Maybe we should put pictures of all these people.
this kid Julian was supposed to go pro, but he had the same heart condition as Erickson. Do you remember
Oh yes.
the guy that his heart stopped
yes,
during the game?
yes,
So
that's
they
tough.
caught
That's
that with the
tough, man.
national team.
That's really
So he can't go pro anywhere. He's still playing pretty high levels here, but no pro team can sign him. But he is definitely good enough. The ball at his feet was. They were putting 3-4 guys on him in the finals. That's the way they beat us. Wow. Yeah, he was simply incredible. So it was a lot of fun.
I played my first soccer game last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
How'd that go?
I had the best time in the world, but I was so embarrassing.
he's
so embarrassing.
he's comparing himself to guys that have played their whole life, and actually, like, he was middle of the pack. Like he
didn't
was
take a
really
touch.
impressive.
I should have taken a touch.
He doesn't know what that means. So every
he
time he
doesn't.
touches the
They're
ball,
screaming at me. And look, I love organized sports, but the only organized sport I played as a kid was rugby. Okay. So they're screaming at me to do all these things. I'm just like, where's the ball?
you'd get the ball
just
and he
give
would
me the
just
ball.
rush. He would get the ball and you would either just like get rid of it right away. And so we would say, take a touch. He's like the third time I say it to him, he's like, what's take a touch? I don't understand what that means. And I'm like, bring it down, control it, look up.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was good. Like Carlo and a few people in the office were impressed.
Yeah, it was embarrassing, but nevertheless, I had a great time.
Well, that's
with
all that matters.
That's it, man. I had the best time, and
That was a lot of fun.
I'm excited to do it again.
Yeah, we will. So let's get into the meat and potatoes here. So what's your story? Like, you've been in Home Trust a long time, started from mortgage loan officer, and now you're director. So maybe give us, the Cole's Notes version, or as deep as you want to get into your journey from just starting off, earning your stripes to where you are now, because you've had a hell of a run, and it's not just a start.
Yeah, so I started my career off at Home Trust actually in 2011 as a summer student. I did a stint there with the IT team at that point in time, but that wasn't really for me. Finished school. So I started full-time as a mortgage officer in 2012. I did that for about a year, and then I was promoted to an underwriter. So I did underwriting there for, I would say, about 2 years until I became a team lead of underwriting there. And then in 2017, I transitioned over to the sales team in October of that year, and I haven't looked back since. So I've been a BDM, became a regional as well, and then over 2 years ago now, became director of the sales team. So we have a fantastic team at Home Trust, and I think I would owe a lot of my success to the people that I surrounded myself with there at the office. A lot of great mentors growing up there, a lot of people with a lot of experience in the industry who showed me the ropes, because going into Home Trust, I didn't know really what a mortgage was. Even though I took business in university, that wasn't really a focus of mine. Mine was more marketing, stuff like that. So just kind of going into this, my dad was working at Home Trust at the time, so he kind of brought me in. You gotta start working and pay the bills and stuff like that. So he brought me over, and you know what? It's just been a fantastic run. There's been a lot of ups and downs with everything there is, but I think that just makes us stronger and more agile. I mean, we saw what happened in 2017. That's the tough thing. We went from public to private, a year ago, and now going through a merger as well. So not many people can say that they've gone through that many things and kind of stuck it out and stayed with the same company as well. So I kind of pride myself on that. It's a company that I love, and, I bleed blue.
Yeah, incredible. That's a very low story. So majority of our audience are brokers. This is a space that you've been in for a long time. So if we were to tie it back, obviously you really did a good job with, as you said, mentorship and sinking your teeth in. But on this side, you've seen a ton of successful brokers, not successful brokers. What's something that you can a piece of advice you can give to brokers who maybe don't really know the B side? And I know it kind of comes back as well to the I love alt lending. There's so much opportunity there. And I think, and Dan, you're an expert at this much more than I am, where I think clients sometimes get stuck on, I can only go one route, the A side, and don't really understand that it's more of a graduation program, and there's a lot of benefits to going B. So what's something to our listeners right now that are broker that maybe haven't tried sending a deal to a home in general, a home trust, or on the B side? What would you say, because you've seen people that started brand new to those that have been sending you deals for 15 years, the success, like what's something that you want to share with them that maybe,
I think I would probably flip it back to when Daniel and I did the podcast. He said some interesting things there too, where in his first year, I think you said you only did one B deal because, you had come from a bank background, but you weren't really sure on how to kind of get into it. But I think you prided yourself a lot on education and educating yourself. And I remember you mentioning, having a lineup of people coming to you asking for help and questions and things like that. So I think education is the most important part. I think being in the mortgage industry, you have so many different outlets where you can actually help clients. I know, being in a bank role, you're kind of limited to what you can do, and that's where you see a lot of people shifting from banking into becoming a mortgage broker, which I can imagine is a scary thing to do, and you guys have done that, right? So I think keeping yourself open to what's out there. Really leveraging your lender partners, obviously joining a good brokerage or network that has a lot of background and foundation there. They can kind of help set you up on where that deal can go, what other education that you need and stuff like that. So I think education's got to be the start.
So then year one, I think you were 85% A. Year two in the 70s, and now you're probably 65-35 or 60-40. So for someone like you that is now changed, and I know education was huge. Brennan hit the nail on the head. You did a real deep dive. You spent countless hours. I remember just calling every BDM, understanding how it fit. But besides the education piece, what do you contribute to you kind of shifting? Is it the market? Is it clientele? Is it solution? Like, what would you say?
I think that it's a function of a few things. Number one is you need to be well-versed and an expert in all facets of lending when you're a mortgage broker or agent, because people come to you and they're expecting proper advice. And if you have no education or experience in particular segments of the business, then how can you really do the best for your customers? Number two is I saw my business slow down drastically because the banks were cannibalizing all the business, and it was challenging for me to onboard new business or fight for business that was strictly where a customer could walk in and any bank would approve them, and it just became a more saturated pool. And I thought to myself, I need to diversify my business. I can't have my business be all my eggs in one basket. And I think that is a function of our coachings to kind of, break apart where's business coming from and where can we onboard new business from. Also, I pride myself on being a solution-based broker. And sometimes the best solution is that institutional, bank route, best rate, whatever that product is. But a lot of the times, and where I find the most satisfaction is when you get that phone call after you do an alternative file and they say you saved my home, or you saved my marriage, or you saved my life. And we all understand that alternative lending is more expensive and it's more nuanced than institutional bank financing. But when you really get a good grasp of it, the things that you are able to do for Canadians is incredible. And truthfully, I'm not sure if this is podcast appropriate, but the way I kind of look at things sometimes is, a self-employed individual that's, writing an NOA or showing income of $30,000 expecting institutional financing is okay. Show $150,000, pay tax on $150,000. Let's see how that offsets against a 1% lender fee and the additional interest, and what's cheaper and more expensive. And traditionally, I think it's cheaper to go with the B lender or the alternative lender than paying that additional amount in tax, and ultimately you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I think a big thing that we need to focus on is trying to remove the amount of fraud in this industry. And I think the amount of fraud that is in this industry stems from a lack of education and a need to be with a lender every single time. And I just don't think that's necessarily the case. I think there's borrowers that need to be with alternative lenders. It gives you an immense amount of flexibility. It gives you comfort, ease. I think that education is most important, and being a solution-based broker is really, really important.
Yeah, and if I can just add too, I think, you nailed that right on the head. But at the end of the day too, you don't know what that situation the client is in when they're coming to you for help either, right? So having the ability to either send it alt, private, whatever the case is, you're going to be able to help that client no matter what. And then at the end of the day, you put them in somewhere, there's an end goal for that client too, right? So being able to actually have access to that really would help them.
And just to give a bit of a plug here, you guys are phenomenal in terms of your process. I find that sometimes, alternative lenders can get caught up in the nitty gritty of certain things, which is totally understandable. Of course, you have investors and, a board, and you're running a massive trust company. But I find that you specifically as Home Trust are always looking to make a file work, and if there's an opportunity for it to work, you take the time to educate and work on it, which I really appreciate as a broker, specifically when you're, starting with alternative lending. And, our group here is an interesting group because a lot of us are ex-bankers, right? So when we come over, we're like, what is this bank statement program that you can, annualize income and, low beacons, and you don't have to take a 3% balance. And there's so many fascinating things that I think that brokers are unaware of. Like, for example, CCB takes a 25% lift with Home Trust. I don't think a lot of brokers know that. So there's
Do brokers know what CCB is?
Canadian Child Benefits, right?
Sometimes we use that
You
jargon.
caught me so off guard.
You looked at me like, yes, they should if they're a broker.
So and I say this whether you're here or not here. Like, I really enjoy working with Home Trust. And you guys have been an incredible partner to not only myself, but the brokerage. And we hope to continue to grow that and kind of spread that awareness of alternative lending into the space and allow for that to grow and be a big part. And ultimately, I think that with the way the market is going, the alternative space is only going to continue to grow. And the more institutionalized the alternative space is, like trust companies, etc., the better it is for folks, because people want to make a principal and interest payment. They want to get a statement. They want to know that they can pick up the call and call a call center and say, I misplaced my statement, or I'd like to make a lump sum, or what is my penalty? Like that legitimizes the space on top of having flexible rules, is just phenomenal in my opinion.
You have such good eyesight. You saw the questions I wrote down now.
I actually didn't.
No, it's a great segue, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the partnership of Home Trust and it's a compliment. Hey, he's good. He's really impressed.
Not bad.
You're just, this is the Dan we need every episode.
Right.
I think Brennan brings the best out of you.
I love Brennan.
I know, and he loves you. And you guys can
love
wear
you guys.
matching summer tuxedos. Which I think's the title. I think you could do it.
I for sure could do it.
Have you seen some of the suits that he's worn?
Oh yeah,
He can do it. He can do it.
But you're saying that like in a negative context.
No.
My
I'm saying
suits
that
are
in
amazing.
I know. I'm saying it in a very positive way, because if you can pull that off, you can pull off a summer tuxedo.
I think the
orange one.
Yes,
Is that what you're
that's
gonna
what I
ask?
was
The orange
thinking.
one. That's the
Yes,
only one that I
yes.
have in my mind.
I want to know.
drop some
We're gonna
truth
get a
on
picture
you.
of him in the orange.
Let me drop some truth on you. I think that people put boundaries on themselves that don't exist. So when somebody comes and says, "Oh, I couldn't pull that off," you've told yourself that you can't pull it off. It's not real. Right. You, in fact, can pull it off probably better than anyone. And that's what limits people in every facet of their life. Do not put boundaries around yourself that do not exist. No glass ceiling. Just do what you got to do. I'm telling you, it's going to work out. Like
It's not the name brand. It's the
Wise
person.
words.
Wear with confidence. I was thinking the orange suit too, by the way.
The orange suit plays.
I think
it's the most compliments I've ever received on a suit.
100%.
I'm not even lying.
I know. I agree. I want to buy a baby blue one.
Yeah?
Yeah, so we can
And
match.
then I'll wear the yeah.
Yeah, so we can be like Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, exactly. But I need that shirt.
Oh yeah, the curlies.
Yeah.
Okay, so the partnership between Home Trust and Clear Trust, in your opinion, besides us both having trust in the name, what makes that partnership special? You've been around from the growth of it, right, from the start. Really when we started coming up in 2020-ish to now. So, and you've been a big part of it. Obviously, we're big supporters of Home Trust, and you guys get a lot of RB business. So, it's one of our tops. What would you say makes it special, or do you want to elaborate on that, from the group?
It's a great question. I think just from the beginning of knowing you guys, just the passion that the entire office has is crazy, especially for, I would argue, like a newer brokerage, a younger brokerage as well. Just the fact that you guys are so passionate about what you do, trying to help that end client no matter what. I think that's something that's really special about this group that you guys have. I've had an opportunity to interact with quite a lot of the team, if not all the team. Like you said, went away on the trip with you guys earlier this year.
Yeah, it was.
And you guys had a blast, and I think you guys are the.
You guys had a blast. Did you catch
No,
that? I
but I
love
say
that.
you guys?
Oh
You
yeah.
had a blast.
Oh,
I had a great
that
time,
was
okay?
the actual most spot on part of the whole thing, and that's why I said earlier he didn't smile once on the trip.
We had a blast.
At least you're on brand always.
That's okay.
Anyways.
You gotta love that. We did have a blast. Continue.
I did too.
I had
It
a
was
blast. I had a
fantastic.
blast.
But I think you guys really are really that work hard, play hard mentality. You guys give it your all. I can see that. And then when it's time to, have a little bit of fun, I see that as well too. And I think that's what's really special. The fact that you guys take everything that we, bring back to you for feedback so seriously as well. I think that's a huge piece. I think you need that. And whenever you guys come to us with anything as well, we take that very seriously. So I think you need that when you have that kind of partnership, and for us to be able to grow from where we were to where we are today. Right. So, I think we have a really great partnership, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys a lot more as the more events that we hang out with, and coming to the office and everything that you guys do here. I think it's a really special family that you guys have here.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. I think what we were talking about before about the old school versus the new school, even the amount of, you said, things that are going on in our space, we want to get and keep the client no matter what, right? So that's really the focus here, even at we just always want to have the client and get the deal done. I want to switch gears to an event that you host every year, and we've been fortunate enough to go. You've maybe been 3 times. I was the last 2 years, or
I think that the first year, unfortunately, was sold out.
Okay.
And then we made sure that a spot was
The
reserved
last
for us
2
the
years. Last 2
Yeah,
years.
Yeah.
So the Tom Trenouth Charity Golf Classic, and I think this year was the
This is our 12th year
12th
this year.
That's
yeah.
what I was going to say. I didn't want to. So the 12th annual, which is incredible, and you guys have raised
Over 1.2 million for the Canadian Mental Health Association
Wow.
in our 12 years of running it.
Wow.
incredible.
That's, that
Absolutely.
deserves a round of applause. For sure.
100K almost every year, and just on average, so which is fantastic. And the day was spectacular. We had a blast.
it's
We've
always a
been
great
2
day.
years. It's Richmond Hill Golf Club, and it's something that you've spearheaded for 12 years. We also have a golf tournament, but I mean, yours is obviously so much more special in what it means, and just the love and the way that everyone comes together. In hosting that or running that event, it's a huge
Undertaking?
logistics
Yes, it
undertaking,
is.
right? So obviously it's from a very passionate spot. Maybe just give us some intel on the event and how you do that. Do you have some support? Is there a team that helps you? Do you do it all by yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I definitely don't do it myself. We got a great team there, and obviously our marketing team spearheads that event. So making sure that we get the course booked and all the logistics for that, all the sponsorship, things like that. But we do have a team that works very hard throughout the year to make sure that it's all set up for success. You said you have a tournament as well, and I've had the opportunity to go to it the past couple of years. It's been fantastic as well to go to your tournament. It's a very special. I think at the end of the day, whenever you're raising money for a great cause, it doesn't matter how much. It's just that you're out there, you're raising awareness, and I think you guys do a great job at that. Something for us, obviously, for the past 12 years, we've been raising, I'd say pretty significant funds for the Canadian Mental Health Association. Our first year, we actually did it for the Breast Cancer Society. And then we switched over to the Mental Health Association and just never looked back since. So it's been great to see every single year. Just it sells out. Just the amount of people that come out year after year, new faces, old faces. It's just something that the industry looks forward to every single year. And I mean, obviously, my dad's name is in the title of the tournament, so it's very near and dear to my heart. And just to see that the industry really takes it seriously. Mental health is so important to every single one of us, and I think a lot of people tend to shy away from having those discussions and things like that. So it's just another opportunity for us to really bring awareness to it, really, spark that conversation piece again, because I know throughout the year things get busy and crazy and people don't talk about what's on their mind and what they're going through. And I just hope that tournament is a good reminder for everybody that you need to talk about your mental health and mental illness, take care of yourself and things like that. So it's just another point for us that we take it very seriously.
Yeah, it's a pure class event for sure. It was it's great. And your sister was up there with you?
Yeah, my
right?
sister was there. Yeah,
she was a former Home Trust as well.
Yeah, so actually my brother and sister, all three of us worked at Home Trust at one point in time. There's a few families that have had like 3 siblings work there, so it's kind of cool to see that, but they've moved on to different things. My brother wasn't able to make it. Actually, the past couple of years, he's been working kind of remotely in different countries. So it's a little bit harder for him to get back for it. But my sister's been there every year as well. So, and she used to work at Home Trust.
And she is now a
cop.
police officer,
Yeah,
right?
she's a
That's
police
very
officer,
cool.
yeah.
So you're the last one standing at.
I am.
No wonder
yeah.
why you bleed blue. Where that.
That's it.
I'm trying to think of who has stayed with one, like, team their whole career. There's a few of them, but that'll be you. You hope.
I hope.
Which is amazing. Dan, anything else you want to add here? We've run through a lot of stuff. I'm good on my questions.
Yeah, I want to get into some nitty gritty stuff if you don't mind. I think
Absolutely.
that you get the opportunity to talk to some of the best brokers in the country, and maybe if you can extrapolate a couple characteristics that you think make these folks successful, so that our audience can kind of piece that together and try to implement those things in their day-to-day business, what would you say that would be?
Yeah, I would say obviously we've already touched on it, but education, I think, some of the top brokers that I get to interact with are very highly educated. They are very knowledgeable about what's going on in the industry. They stay up to date on current events, affairs, things like that. I would say like attention to detail and asking the tough questions, I think are really important as a mortgage broker in this day and age. making sure that that application that gets sent into any lender, regardless of who it is accurate. Those guys are so passionate with what they do as well. It's hard to, maybe it's hard to replicate exactly what some of those people do, but they just put so much time, effort, love into every interaction. They treat everybody the same no matter who it is, and I think that's really important as well, making sure that client feels that you're really doing everything you can in their best interests and not necessarily for your own sake, and really trying to find that right solution for them. And then ultimately there's probably a plan in place for, maybe I have to put you in a private, but next year I'm going to take you to an alternative lender, and then in 2 years we'll get you back to the bank. And I think there's a lot of comfort that comes with that with Canadians. And you know what? A lot of people are going through a tough time right now. So you need to be very empathetic, and I think that's another key piece that a lot of brokers are. Maybe some need to be more empathetic, but I think that's really important to the clients, that you're there, you're listening to their story, you're understanding what's going on, and that you're there to help them.
So you said knowledge a few times today. If we peel back the layers on that, a day one broker, how do they gain knowledge? If they're listening to this and they're like, "Oh, I have no knowledge. I'm brand new."
Or where do I go?
Yeah, where do I go?
We keep talking about
we
this
keep
now.
saying knowledge. So
where do we go?
Yeah. So how does one gain knowledge in the B space particularly?
We're gonna put Brennan's phone number on the.
Give me a call. I think that there's a few places. Obviously, if you're a day one broker, you've probably joined up with a network. And I think there's a lot of resources within that network. Okay. I know I see it a lot on Facebook groups and things like that. People saying, "Oh, reach out to this person within this network," and that sort of thing. Whenever somebody's looking for a brokerage to join, they always kind of post somebody within a network to reach out to. So I think starting there is important. I think looking up associations with wherever you're, whatever province you're in, there's different associations. Obviously, you have MPC, which is, for Canada. You have CMBA Ontario, CMBA BC. I know there's a bunch of other associations throughout the country as well. So I would start there too, because I'm sure there's a lot of courses that you can take and things like that. But even reaching out to other agents within the brokerage that you've joined or the network that you're going to join as well, they should be able to point you in that right direction, as well as where did they learn, right? And then ultimately your lenders, reaching out to your lenders, trying to get in touch in front of a BDM. I need to learn what your products are. I really want to learn. Can you come and show me? Can you do a presentation to me? Can you send me product pages? Things like that. And I think that's a really good way at starting off your career in the industry, is just reaching out to as many people as possible and trying to get as much information as possible.
If I could just add, I find that at Home Trust, and it kind of bleeds into your story, whereby a lot of the BDMs, business development managers, have underwritten in the past and have fulfilled in the past and have gone through that kind of chain, and it makes them so incredibly useful, because not only are they there to support you in your business, they know how Home Trust ticks. All the way from document to underwriting to a risk appetite. And I find that to be an incredible weapon that you guys have in your arsenal that allows your BDMs to be as effective as possible. Less salesy, more like functional, mechanical beings within the company that allow kind of an inside scoop to the broker. So we talk about this all the time, and I think it's one of the most useful tips that I've done myself is just pick up the phone and call a BDM once a week. Ask, what kind of exceptions have you gone this week? What deals are you looking for? Your book's always being rebalanced, so there's always things that are going to change. And I find that specifically with Home Trust, you guys are very, very knowledgeable on the BDM side because of that.
That's a fantastic point, and I would 100% agree with that. I think you can always kind of teach sales, but you can't really teach underwriting. That's right. You kind of have to get your feet wet and do that for a while before you start to understand exactly what you just said on what works, what doesn't work, and what docs you need, what don't you need, what do you do in this situation if a broker has a crazy scenario? How do you navigate that with them and get the deal done, right? So I think that's an incredible point that you just brought, and I know that we have a lot of that within our sales team as well. And then everything else you work and you do that with training, right? So I think that's really important. Anybody who wants to start in the industry, I would highly recommend an underwriting role to start, and then you work your way up, and your possibilities are endless at that point. Do you become an agent? Do you move up into sales, leadership, management, that sort of thing? But I think it all starts with underwriting.
I got just one more.
Yeah.
Without
Please.
putting you on the spot, of course, Brennan. I guess it's a two-part question. You guys are going through a merger right now, so without breaching any sort of barriers that you may, what kind of changes should we expect as mortgage agents and brokerages in the space? And secondly, independent of the merger, what's in the hopper for Home Trust over the next few years, and what should we be expecting? And maybe we can get a little bit of an inside scoop now.
Yeah. Great question. So yes, there is a merger in place right now. It's hopefully complete any day now at this point in time. I don't think we're going to see much change, to be honest with you. Their business is a lot different than what we do. We do mortgages. That's not going to change. That's our bread and butter. And brokers are our bread and butter as well. So I wouldn't expect anything different from us. What I would expect in the coming, year or 2 years, I think, is a bigger shift into the alt space for clients. And then for us, just really working internally to improve our service to our broker partners. And I think that we've been working incredibly hard at that for the last little while. A lot of cohesion between sales and underwriting, making sure that we're all, full steam ahead, improving on our turnaround times, our systems, our technology, so that your overall experience is better. And that's, we don't want to be just known as the solution lender. We also want to be known for service as well. And we've put a lot of work into that. So kudos to the entire Home Trust team that's been putting in a lot of work to, make that process a lot better for our partners, and internally as well, making it easier for people to underwrite deals, making it easier for, call centers and things like that. So I would just give kudos to the entire team there for that. They've been working incredibly hard. And at the end of the day, just to be able to service you better.
So there's been a lot of regulatory pressure in the industry. I think there's been fear instilled by the regulators into lenders, brokers, etc. And I think that fear just stems from change, and this industry is going to change no matter what, all the time. You as a company, Home Trust, have kind of pioneered a lot of the regulatory pressures. Most recently, I would say, is the 12-month business bank statements versus 6. Anything else that they've come to you guys to say that we should be expecting in the future?
Not that I'm aware of at this point in time. I understand where you're coming from. We take pride in being the first to do a lot of things, and we've been that way since we started in 1977 as well, right? So a lot of experience, a lot of history there as well. So whenever something comes our way, we take it in stride, and we try to deliver on that. Sometimes you might feel it's a little bit of a disruption to you and your business, but for us, we try and just take it and do the best that we can and move forward with it. So nothing that I can really speak to right now on anything coming down.
Okay. You got anything else, Paul?
Who's going to be the first Toronto team to win a championship?
Oh.
Or the next Toronto team?
The next Toronto team.
And will we be alive?
That's a great question.
What's your daughter's team's name? The Dragons?
No, I'm talking about like
Woodbridge
professional.
I think the Home Trust
you didn't
Pastry
take-
Kicks team has a better chance at winning a championship than any of the Toronto. I would say if I had to put money on it, I would say the Leafs got to come through at some point. I think we're ways away from Raps or Jays.
I agree.
Victory. Maybe the Argos.
Yeah, I don't know if
But
that counts. Or
but
TFC.
I would
those
say
don't
I
count.
think the next one, it's got to be the Leafs.
Listen, we look forward to seeing you this weekend. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I don't think anyone's going to win a championship anytime soon. But I would have said the Raptors were never going to win either.
Right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they win. Do we have a bet going or something?
We do.
Is it for this year?
It's for the next 4 years.
Next 4 years.
For the next
For
4
Austin
years.
Matthews' contract, Vito said that they'll win the cup. I said they won't.
In the next 4 years.
And Vito thinks this year they're winning.
That's what
He's super
Leafs
confident.
fan says,
Every
I
year.
think.
They
I
look
say
really
that,
good,
though,
though.
too.
They do look really good. On the drive here, actually, I was worried that they might win. I'm like, how am I going to come up with the money to come good on this bet?
Well, we could do a refi. ELV.
Okay, there it is.
There you go. Home trust ELV.
What better way to end than on an ELV? Thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy. And we look forward to seeing you.
No, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.